Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, the United States of America voted in Joe Biden as the 46th American president. Many are jubilating, even in Nigeria. So we're asking, what does this win in the U.S. mean for our own democracy? What lessons can we learn from this entire electoral process that happened in the U.S.? Joining us on the show now is a member of Hillary Clinton campaign organization for 2016 election, Bar Curtis Adigba. Welcome to the show.
Barrister.
Okay. Barrister.
Yeah,
Welcome to the show.
Let me make a quick correction. Thank you.
Yes.
I wasn't actually a member. I was on the margin of that campaign as a surrogate.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Welcome to the show, though.
Thank you for having me.
You can call us on 090-241-63440, and you can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your BTVC so we can read tweets. Now, so over the weekend, everyone was waiting for the big announcement. It came on Saturday morning, and there's a lot of celebration out there. And one of the things that struck us is the fact that there was about 66% turnout of voters across the country.
Yeah.
If we're talking about deriving lessons, in our own elections, we have between 30 to 35% of voter turnout. What can we begin to do to get more Nigerians to come and participate in elections?
Okay. First and foremost, turnout in election is the best test of legitimacy for the outcome of every election. America also had problem of turnout in previous elections. In 2000, it was just 537 votes in Florida that determined the outcome of that election between Al Gore and Trump. And after that, in 2002, a law known as Bush and Al Gore, yeah. In 2002, there was a law passed called Help America Vote Act, which was an attempt to simplify voting for most Americans. And even before then, we had the Voting Rights Act of 1965, passed by Lyndon Johnson, which again reaffirmed the 15th Amendment that happened in 1870 to encourage and allow black people to vote. And then we had the 19th Amendment that allowed women for the first time to vote in America. So you see effort towards turning out people to vote, because that's what democracy is all about. Now, what can we do in our country? A lot of people are not interested in the political process. And like you said, 30, 34, sometimes. In 2018 midterm election in the US, they recorded 50.3% because of the enthusiasm of both parties. Of course, you can trace that to the personality of President Trump. Very divisive, and so he tends to invoke this passion in those who support him and those who does not support him.
Right.
They want to come out and outdo themselves.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But bringing it home.
Okay.
yes.
You know, in bringing it home, because I was realizing that I was having anxiety more than the people that were living in America. So I stopped even watching all the international news because it was stretching. But when I finally now started watching the analysis after they declared somebody who had already been declared the winner, I realized where we could draw a few lessons within Nigeria, mainly going back to the number of voter registration. And because it starts with registration and the ease of registration. I have mentioned in the last election that I could not vote because I couldn't get my PVC. And I went to the states, local governments in Kusofe. There were massive crowd. We were pushing, and everybody was. And I spent the entire day there, and I couldn't still get my card because they couldn't find mine. Okay, what's the price of reprinting? I filled the form, and they said they would send a text message. Till now, so the process of registering and getting our PVCs have been very complicated. What do you think? What do you think can be done on a legal perspective to create the framework to ease this?
Okay, first and foremost, we need to devolve the system of election in Nigeria, like they have in the United States. What you have in the United States is not one election, 50 elections to elect a president. And these elections are conducted at the county level by county clerks and leaders, who then transmit the results after declaring them to the Secretary of State at the state level.
Not INEC.
Not INEC. And that's why you don't hear a central electoral body in America call out election and say, this is the result we have. What you have is a collation by networks having data analysts in their inner rooms, looking at the data, the demographics, and the returns. And then they can make projection at a certain point in time when they are satisfied that outstanding votes will not change the outcome. Now, the Federal Electoral Commission, which you have in America, does not conduct election. All it does is to monitor how candidates raise their funds, how they spend those funds, and how they make the returns to the body.
Okay.
So what you have is you have different electoral bodies in different states. Florida, for instance, has 29 precincts with 29 different electoral systems.
Wow.
So they conduct and they send the results. So when you hear about people saying, no, the election is rigged, it's almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
Because, and in some of these states, you have both Republican and Democrats working. The governor could be Republican, the Secretary of State could be Republican.
Okay, so
because these positions are elected positions, not appointed.
so some things that would be, personally, I don't find interesting anything foreign. Because we have our local problem. I believe every region has their problems and problems are local. Nigeria is different from the US. But we've seen now with this Trump campaign that it's possible for anybody to be human, anybody to be to fall to error. Trump not only did he try to buy votes towards the end, beginning of elections by giving people door-to-door food and asking for votes. We saw the videos. He also refused to accept, you tried to call off the election halfway through when he saw that the figures were not favoring him, saying that, and he went to court. He became an African, at that point in time. So anybody is fallible. Anybody is fallible. So, and refuse to concede.
So the system must be strong.
Before I come to your point, let me just speak to what she said. Why is it so difficult to get people to register here? It's down to the provisions of the Electoral Act. We have just a small window of opportunity for people to register, even to campaign. So electorates don't even know the people they are voting for. They don't know what they stand for. Because you cannot start campaigning until a certain period to election in Nigeria. Now, unlike in the United States and some other African countries, you can register the day of election and vote. There are states that have that. Yeah, you can just walk in, register and vote. Registration is a continuous process.
Yeah, but they have proper biodata systems.
Yes, so that's one. Then back to your point, the fact is that human beings are the same. The differences that we see is in the strength of their institutions and the cultural markers. This behavior is acceptable in this kind of society. But Trump from day one has shown that he's prepared to destroy all norms and destroy all the guardrails of democracy. And of course, there are people in America who believes him, who thinks like him. He garnered 70 million.
People.
Yes.
That's a lot of people.
Even in the height of the pandemic, that medical experts were saying, don't come out. You saw his rallies.
They were partying.
Thousands of people coming there not wearing masks because they hang on every word that Trump speaks.
Right.
Cult followers.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue because there are other angles of the mail-in votes. We'll see if that's even possible in Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we go into the issue of mail-in votes, I'd like you to explain this Electoral College for Nigerians. Maybe we can even learn from it because for a candidate to win in Nigeria, he needs to have the most popular votes and has 25% of two-thirds across the country.
Yes.
But as we saw in Hillary 2016, it's not who has the most popular votes that that wins it. How does the Electoral College system work, and do you think it's something we can implement or adopt in the Nigerian system?
We can, but this is how it works. There are 538 electoral votes. And how did you get the 538 votes? The House of Representatives in America is 445. You add 100 senators to that, you have 435, plus 100 senators, 535. Okay. And then 3 representatives from District of Columbia, which is Washington, 538. Now, you need to score 270 votes to win the election. For that purpose, states are allocated specific number of electoral votes depending on their size.
They are allocated?
Yes, depending on their population. The state with the highest electoral college vote in America is California, 55, followed by Texas, 38. And then you have New York, 29, Florida, 29. You have Illinois, 20, and then you come to Ohio, 18, and then Michigan, 16, Wisconsin, 10, Maryland, 10, New Jersey, 14. Now, then you have a group of states, North Dakota, South Dakota, 3, Maine, 3, 4, Nebraska, and all of them.
Population.
Yes, both on population. Now, But then you have categories of states that are reliable blue voters, democratic voters. So if you're a Democrat, you are sure that you're going to win California, you're going to win New York 29, 55, Illinois 20, and all those ones. If you're a Republican, traditionally, you know you're going to win Texas. Florida is not given because Florida is a purple state. Purple in the sense that they vote Republican, so that's why they're called swing states.
So those states vote on the line of ideology.
On ideology and whatever their interest is at a particular point in time. Now, if you're a Republican, you must win Florida. Because no Republican has won the presidency since 1924 without winning Florida. So it is when these states return their votes, even if you won a state by one vote, you take the entire electoral vote, except for 2 states in America, Maine and Nebraska. They share their own according to the number of votes garnered by the candidate.
So is this something we can adopt? I'd like you to, let's bring it home so that Nigerians don't get really lost.
You know what? I think everything is possible. It depends on how far we want to move in.
But do you think we need
progressing.
it? Since we have 2/3, do we need it when we have 2/3?
I think 2/3 is good enough. It's reflective. It's a good starting point. If we will try to work, you see, progress is incremental. You build and keep building, and then you're moving forward. I think what we have right now, because of our diversity, that you must have a simple majority, and then you have to win in 2/3 of states. Is good.
Okay.
So I want to go to...
Have a call. Okay. Good morning. Are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead. You're live. Morning.
Yeah. I actually I'm not commenting on the topic today. That was a topic you posted last week. Just adoption. I wouldn't know if you can still recall.
Okay, Friday.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's your view. Let
I
it go.
just want to say that there is a law criminalizing an adoption child getting married to a natural child of the parent that adopted that particular child. So there is a law criminalizing that particular situation.
All right. Thank you very much,
it is
sir.
not encouraged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Right,
So I wanted to ask concerning how can we increase, because aside from these issues, we also have major case of voters apathy. And we have about 30 to 35% of card-carrying people with PVC voting.
Turning out to vote, yeah.
Yes. So how can we raise the awareness of Nigerians to the responsibility that we all have, civic responsibility to vote our chosen leaders?
And I'd like to link that up with the mailing votes. Can we actually increase voter participation with mailing? And can we get Nigerians and the diaspora to participate? Do you think it's a good idea to get them to participate?
Yeah, so there are three ways of voting in America. You can vote by sending your mail, you can vote by physically going there to vote, and you can be an absentee voter. Absentee voter also send it by mail, because if you're a military man serving somewhere, you cannot come back home, or you're an American living in Nigeria, you can go to their embassy, pick your card, vote, and send it in. And all this will be tallied. This has been going on for years. And because of the pandemic, so many states joined in introducing mail-in vote. And the procedure is, look, when the votes come in, when you post the votes, okay, they are sent to the post office, the USPS, and then they are delivered. There are states with different laws. Some states say you must get in on the day of the election for it to be valid. Others say, so even 72 hours, you can come in, we still tally them. Then there's also the provisional voting. Provisional voting will happen in 1 or 3 or 4 cases. You have voted, your signature was not correct, or your ID that you attached wasn't correct. The vote will be put aside as provisional, and you are called upon to verify your signature. We saw that in Clark County, in Nevada, where you saw people lining up again to verify and cure their signature. You can also send in your mail-in vote, and then you are not sure that it got to them. On the day of election, you go there physically and vote. They put it aside. If it's established that your vote came in and was counted, that is destroyed.
Okay.
If not, it replaces the other one you sent in the mail. Now, why it is important, she talked about how can we get people interested in the process. You talked about how difficult it was for you to register, and so you couldn't vote. Now, if you stay in your house and you get your vote mailed to you, and you can vote in your home and send it back. It's a lot easy.
But we don't have a postal system that is effective.
Well, that's why I say we have to build institutions and make them effective if we have to make this progress. So that will help. Now, on the issue of voters not wanting to turn out is as a result of enthusiasm. What are the politicians saying? Are they speaking to your interests? What are the political parties doing to mobilize voters? Look at what happened in Georgia, where Stacey Abrams
Single-handedly.
registered 800,000 voters. Look at what Barack Obama did in Philadelphia and in Michigan, asking people to come out and vote. Vote as quickly as possible. Voting, send in your mails. And that was the difference in the strategy of the two political parties. Whereas the Democrats, knowing the time, were asking their voters to go quickly vote by mail. Trump wanted something bang. He wanted all his supporters to wait, go out there and cast your vote on election day to show that we did have the crowd. And the idea he wanted was, as the votes come in and as they are counting, his figure will be so high that the supporters will know he has won the election. But you see, because most states have laws that says you will have to count those who voted in person first before you start counting the mail-in.
votes.
As soon as the mail-in votes start coming in, Biden started crawling back
So
and
the
eating into his
Republicans came
margin.
to the polls,
Yes.
but the Democrats actually mailed in.
Mailed in.
Let me take this call from Hassan. Hassan, are
So
you
that
there?
was what happened.
Hassan, are you there?
Good morning, Niwa.
Morning, thanks for
Good
calling.
morning, Papa.
Good morning.
The advantage I can derive from the recently concluded election in America is that you can be anywhere and be anything. Our Nigerians travel from here, they queue up to take a visa, and they now get voted in America to represent the people of America. This issue of intimidation should be out of our sight in this country. This issue of Omawani and Doje must get out of our sight. This issue of Naka in Hausa must get out of our psyche. We should begin to participate and contribute to every office based on our ability to contribute to the upliftment of the society.
Right.
Not on the basis of where you come from or your religion or whatsoever primordial sentiment. That is my own take about this one.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, you see, I don't have any one of them is my candidate. Because I can see the way we Nigerians are playing with it. Because people were carried away by opinion, by the press. People were carried over that Trump is anti-black, is anti-African, is anti-this, anti-that. You understand?
Oh, we lost that call. Yes, Nima was going to ask a question.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about mailing votes and possibility of tracking. The same system, the NIPOS, which is the national one, we already have that tracking system. It is just about us Nigerians, whether we are willing to follow through. But one thing that stood out for me is that America has, had the opportunity to present us with a female vice president, and they've had a history of women governors in their country. Is this something Nigerians are likely to learn? Because within the two parties, we know women who have worked their way all through in those parties and have given their all. Is any party in Nigeria possibly going to give us that level of?
I hope it will happen soon. For me, I was even shocked that for America as a beacon of democratic governance, it took them this long, 244 years, to produce a woman as president or vice president. It took 100 years from when women got the rights to vote for a woman to be elected vice president. And her choice is historic and significant on so many levels. Yes. Because she's the first black person, first black woman, not first black person. Because in 1928, Hubert Hoover chose Charles Curtis as his vice president and they won. And then in 1984, Watamondi chose Gerard Ferraro, though they lost to the ticket of Ronald Reagan. And then in 2016, Hillary got very close.
Really close.
Just she lost
She's first woman, first black, first Southern Asian.
Southern
Yeah,
Asia.
she-
And
she
Hillary
broke out
lost just by
21st.
108,000 votes in the Rush Belt states.
Yeah.
To lose the
Okay, I have to take this
presidency.
caller. Uche from Chicago. Uche, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Uchenna. I'm calling from Chicago.
Yes.
Exactly 3:20 a.m.
Yay! Welcome to the show. Go ahead, please.
I'm also a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. So it's been jubilation all over America. I voted for Joe Biden. So it has been a lovely period. So it was a rude shock to Republicans because they thought Joe Biden would not make it. But all Africans here, all Nigerians here, in fact, we really wanted to make sure the change we've been praying for came about. So Donald Trump has really dealt badly with Africans, especially those of us Nigerians here who are here in Chicago. We all trooped out massively to make sure that Chicago went for Joe Biden.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. We'll
Please, I
take a few
wanted to-
tweets, yes.
Okay.
But
I wanted to quickly say concerning mail-in vote that I think that mail-in vote might be tough to implement with our current system, but we can do early voting. Because I noticed another thing that made a lot of people go is you can go to the voting center and vote in before the date. Because some people don't want to be in that crowd. Maybe you live in an area you're not comfortable with the quality of people that are there. But if you have a choice of 1 week or 1 month before, and you can vote, there's a secure server that your vote will
we
not
have
get
to
corrupted.
run, unfortunately. But there was
We
a point
must
of
explore all of
let's
these
let's run
options.
right now. But let's just take a few tweets.
Okay.
Nima, before-
Mr. PJ Comedian says, for more people to come out to vote, we need to introduce the electronic voting instead of carrying plastic buckets from polling centers to counting centers. Also, getting a PVC should be made seamless and
Yes.
easier than what we presently have.
All right, final words on this. I have to run. Just final words to Nigeria.
Well, there are a lot of Nigerians who are thinking that because of Biden winning, things are just going to change dramatically. But I want them to understand that America Foreign Policy Directive is the same whether you have Republicans or Democrats in power. What, however, will change is the tone and how the message is conveyed to the country. If it's just like you're trying to give a child injection,
Yes.
do you just grab the child, hold him to the ground, and give the injection, or offer him a Fanta and biscuit and
So
tell
what
him
they will not do is they just offer us Fanta
and tell him it's not going to be so.
Yeah.
They are still going to
I don't think
drive.
they're going to open their border.
They're still going to drive their objective, foreign policy objective. They're still going to protect their interests, but they will do it with a humane face.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so that's
All right, on that note, thank you very much. sir.
Thank you.
I think we enjoyed that conversation. That's all we can take on the show. Hope you've learned a few things about these elections. And there was an issue of media. I was going to, maybe next time we'll talk about that, how media was so blatantly for and against. It was obvious in the
Too
end.
bad.
Everything in
Yes,
America
sure.
is for and against. The
All right.
Supreme Court is also for and
Have a
against.
fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's not
Bye
a
for
good
now.
system.